and he sight of the goal man shoot. Perform this excellent finish, I do it like Kane or Lukaku. Or like Beckham.
Pass the girls that tiki-taka, that's why they call us MSN. I'm on the block like winner, back road leger, fully paid on my inner. I fly past my head, top 10 of the models, I wash like Sammy Khedira.
And I can still kick balls like Drogba, young and I've made big wins like Gossa. Too far gone, can't catch me, Costa. I'm off, pace, Costa.
3 of the best, he's made them pay, and that completes a wonderful hat-trick.
Okay, so this one, nice and simple. Who's taking that 4th spot in the Premier League? I say simple, but there's so many teams I could actually go for it. Let's start with where Newcastle's at. Newcastle, anyone pick them for the 4th spot?
Nah.
For me, it's just the squad's a little too thin. And lacks quality as well. Even if I'm being honest.
I mean, Newcastle, I think their burst is kind
the bubbles burst.
Yeah, the bubbles kind of burst, and it's like with Newcastle, like you just said, there's not enough quality in that squad. I mean, you could pick players. There's bit parts of that team that you could say you're a player, but aside from maybe Trippier and
it's the Almiron bubble bursting as well. That was probably a big contribution for their goals. And
exactly.
One thing I will say though is they kind of have nothing else to play for this season.
That's true.
That could be the one thing that's like, come on guys, like we're having still one of the best seasons in years.
Neither do Spurs though, and Spurs have a better squad than you.
Wait, before we start this video, make sure you like,
comment,
and subscribe. We would really appreciate it.
That's a good point.
And I'd say a better manager. Who with a week to prepare. Look what he done with Chelsea when he had a week to prepare for every game.
We always say
back end of last season as well when he had weeks to prepare for games. That's when we went on a run at the end of the season and picked up most of our points.
But then this is like they're two sides of different coins now, because Newcastle are defensively sound side, where Spurs we say is one of the leakier sides in the league, right? But they have good firepower, whereas Newcastle don't have good firepower. So them two are the ones where it's like whichever one prevails out of their like strengths will be the one that finishes ahead of the other. Because if Spurs can outscore their leaky defense, they'll finish above Newcastle, I think.
See, I'll be honest. I think I'm confident that we can finish above Newcastle in the league. Maybe that's just a bit of like snobbiness sort of thing, as in like it's Newcastle, they're not a big six side, but it's more Liverpool. I think if they get their act together, we've seen over the past couple of years they have the ability to garner on like title form winning runs sort of thing and pick up majority of points they should. Although I'd say all teams, Newcastle, Liverpool, Spurs and United, if we're including them, all have tough fixtures to go. Like there's still 11 fixtures left. There's a lot of football to play. But I would say, honestly, with Konate coming back, I think that's massive for Liverpool. As he's made Van Dijk look better this season rather than the other way around, which is mad to say. But I think Liverpool could do it.
Okay, let's say on Liverpool.
With regard to the top 4 race, I do believe United will make third. I think they're more consistent than the teams below them.
Exactly. Even
if United drop points, will the other team
gain the points?
It's happened a couple times this season, and I end the weekend like, oh, you know what? It wasn't so bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't so bad.
Exactly. Like United have comfortably been in third for a very long time. And I don't really see that change. And aside, obviously, they lost 7-0 and stuff like that. Aside from that, I don't really see anyone
just be an outlier.
Exactly.
Just an outlier.
So, exactly about that Liverpool, do we see then that 7-0 result is also a Liverpool outlier?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Because they go off the back of that and lose 1-0 to Bournemouth.
Yeah, exactly that. And there's an interesting question about their defense, and still midfielders will always be a question for them all season, even with Bajcetic, the new midfielder that they got from the academy. There's elements that there's stuff there, but when also the pieces around him also not, I don't know if it's heart or desire, but something just doesn't feel right with this Liverpool side.
100%.
It feels like this every year, but that last spot always seems like it's up for grabs, and it always seems like no one wants it. Sort of
always
thing.
Up for grabs.
It's always the spot nobody wants.
Even last season with Arsenal,
it was us and you lot. Like you dropped points 3 games in a row, and then we dropped points to Brighton, and it's like it was
like in regard to who I want to make the top 4. I think like I love seeing Spurs fail, but like if Liverpool make the top 4, I see them as a threat to winning the title next season. Whereas Spurs, I don't really see them winning anything again.
We finished top 4 5 of the last 7 years, and we haven't really.
Exactly. You haven't won anything. You haven't done anything with your 4th place. So for me, finish 4th again and
push on to nothing
start
again.
Liverpool's growth, because if Liverpool make top 4, Liverpool's biggest, arguably the biggest club in England, arguably, innit? That's in between United and Liverpool, innit? that means they can still attract these kind of players. So if they make Champions League football now, that's already another team added into a title race. Whereas if Liverpool don't make the Champions League now, it's harder for them to get back to where they used to be. So it gives teams like Arsenal, United, and
But then is it an easier competition for them to rotate in?
how do you mean?
Like, as in, they've got Europa League.
Yeah, so they'll just throw it.
But they'll just put their B team until the second half of the season, like Arsenal did in the
Oh
first
yeah,
half
yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
season.
But it's
And then
the
you string
kind of players that you
lot
can attract in.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But you can string together
and they
good
do have a
league
lot of
form, is
problems.
what
Yeah,
you're
they
saying.
have
So
a
I get
lot
what
of
you mean.
problems.
But
They
then-
can't spend as much money already. So imagine not making Champions League, the revenue that they're going to lose
That's
on
true,
that as
that's
well.
true.
Yeah.
Whereas Spurs, you don't make top 4, but you don't do anything with it.
Exactly.
So for
And
me,
the thing is with us, everyone knows it's clear to everyone and their uncle that we're gonna have a new manager at the beginning of next season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's another process
exactly,
we're gonna have
and
to go through.
why I don't want Newcastle to make it as such is just because their owners are filthy rich. So
See,
it's kind of
I
like
agree.
fast progression. They shouldn't be where they are.
We say that fast progression, but I think they would already be able to spend. Well, it would help a lot. Yeah. The other thing though is like viewpoint as them in world football, right? They need a little bit more. I think top 4 is still just not enough to gain the ground quick enough. I don't think that's enough. If they won the
It's
trophy,
still massive.
no,
Yeah,
it is
massive.
enough.
So you think it's
That's
enough for
massive.
not normal, but the clubs that any of the top 6 are looking for, they'll pick Newcastle over other top 6 club.
Oh, they'll
But
pick
so far-
Newcastle over Spurs if they make
Come
top
on.
4.
Spurs are in a predicament.
But Spurs,
themselves
but
right now.
Spurs were able to attract the likes of Romero. Imagine now they want a Romero type player who's a decent player at best.
They
But then
did that with
but to
Botman,
be
though.
fair, we got Romero when it was Conference League and Nuno as our manager. So I
But
don't know
that's
how
what I
we
mean.
got that.
Even
but
with that kind of,
I think that's more scouting, if anything, because same thing where they got what's his name Botman in that way, where when there's list they go from players that I was like, there's not great competition there against, like even with Bruno Gomes, like no club really wanted to commit to him, whereas they showed that commit.
Like Arsenal were flirting.
Yeah,
with
Yeah,
it.
they never really
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
commit to him. And Newcastle, that's a good area to
Just
poach
went in
with
and
him.
just done
So
it.
I don't think that changes much whether they get top 4 or not in that area of that.
I do agree with that. What you're saying in terms of the competition and who would they rather go to?
But it just
Newcastle.
adds to their
It just-
momentum.
It
Yeah, it
adds
does.
to
That's
FFP as
possible.
well. Like they can spend more money.
To be
because
fair,
they've
they
earned
can
more money.
pretty much spend what they want at the minute because the way Mike actually left the club, like he did barely,
Yeah, I know.
barely dipped
There's
into
not
his own
really much
pocket,
on
so-
their books and
I
stuff.
got a question
like
for you
that,
lot
yeah.
then. So what do you think would have been more important for Newcastle moving forward? Winning that trophy that we know they lost now, or the top 4 for attracting players? What
I
is
think
more
top 4
important?
because top 4 is more impressive than a Carabao
But they ain't
Cup.
won a trophy in years,
Yeah,
though.
that's the thing.
Decades.
It shows
It's since 1955.
It's kind of
I think.
symbolic of
Yeah,
like
see.
we're
Or
changing the
55
tide.
years ago,
now.
one of them.
Yeah, something like
exactly.
that, yeah.
It's symbolic that we are changing the tide now. That we are. This is the first of many. Do you know what I mean?
I do get what you mean, but
Yeah.
It depends as a player what you look
but
for. innit?
it's a Carabao it's
It's
a
just a
Carabao
Carabao
Cup at
Cup,
the end
yeah,
of the
but
day.
for
Of
them-
course, I wouldn't turn my nose up at it, but
Yeah, innit?
like what's harder, a 38 game Premier League season or a cup run where who did you have
Yeah.
to face?
Exactly. Yeah, we had Charlton teams like that, Reading, Charlton,
Like
stuff like
that's
that.
what I
yeah.
mean, like a 4
see
game
what I mean,
tournament
yeah.
basically,
Come
on.
4 or 5 game tournament.
I think,
of course,
think
you
top
want
4,
a
yeah.
trophy.
Top 4,
but-
okay.
Top 4. I think Newcastle, like for who it matters for the most in terms of making the top 4, I would say maybe Liverpool because you don't want
Yeah.
they don't want to fall off to like where they were a couple years ago when they were just finishing 7th
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But and I would say for who it will make the biggest difference for is probably a Newcastle win it. But who it will affect the most negatively is
Probably
Liverpool.
for
Yeah,
the size of brand
definitely.
as well.
Yeah, the size of brand.
I'll also say as well, a benefit for them not finishing top 4 is that's another competitor for the UCL.
That's what I was trying to say as
They're
well.
experienced in that competition. Right?
Exactly.
We
It's-
always know that they're one of the predicted winners before the tournament starts, right? And with the
I don't know. I think Liverpool always kind of overachieving that every time they enter Champions League.
I think
They
on
just have
paper-
that. They just have that love with the Champions League.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
Real
what it
Madrid.
is.
It's like Real Madrid.
that experience in the competition.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
experienced
yeah,
at
that's
that.
true
So having
though,
them
yeah.
out of that means that for you, it's going to be your first year in a while now. There's greater chance of you progressing further in that tournament. Without them there, innit? Because we look around
Yeah,
Europe
you look
and there's
at
not very
you look
strong
at
sides,
Champions
isn't it?
League time and you think, oh, I got Newcastle, oh, I got Liverpool, oh, I got Spurs. Like the one you don't
Do you know
want
what
is
I mean?
really
It's
Liverpool.
Yeah,
And
you
then
don't
when-
want Liverpool.
if we look at the
innit?
You don't want a
sides in
derby in
Europe.
the Champions League
Exactly.
like finals, like
Oh,
quarterfinals
no,
or whatever.
no.
Like that's horrible.
Exactly that. And the other sides in Europe, they're not as convincing. Like, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid will probably be the only ones that will stay competing next year. We don't know what Barcelona's going to look like after a summer, after the problems that they're having on their field. We also think that Napoli might not be the same team next year. They probably have a couple players pulled apart from them.
yeah.
Like Kim Min-jae, I don't know if he stays there for another year. Osimhen, I don't know
Well,
if
they
he's there
got
for another year. Private Skelly, I don't know if he's there for another year. So
no,
that's another
there's no
team
way.
that is-
Look at De Laurentiis as an owner. Like,
We
there's
say
no way
this,
he
right,
sanctions
but
free sales. Look how long they
when
kept
the money gets
Koulibaly
crazy
for.
enough, you know, we've seen
Yeah, that's the
football,
thing.
the
You
money might
got
get crazy.
you got to think of 3 clubs. Just
winning
I think Man
crazy,
City,
yeah.
if they don't win this
Crazy-
league, will be crazy
crazy
enough to
money.
spend on Cravo. I think they'll be crazy enough to spend whatever
know.
it takes to get that. To get
They're
that
already
back.
on a tight watch though, man.
Oh, Man
I
City,
don't
yeah,
think-
true,
I don't think
true.
Man City will be-
Osimhen, I think he's probably gone this summer.
I think United could go. I think Osherman's the only one I really see leaving.
Apparently Kim Min Jae also has a release clause in
Yeah,
his,
yeah,
in
yeah,
his
apparently
before
he's
the
leaving,
first.
yeah, yeah.
Within June he has a release
Oh,
clause. of
There's
40
some,
million.
So
Yeah.
if they're smart, they time down
Yeah,
for
they
new
timed
deal
it.
before
Yeah,
then.
that's what they're
trying to do in
And
his
to be
rejected
fair, and it's
contract.
him.
Napoli
every
director
rejected
said
contract.
he's the best centre back in the world.
I mean,
He's a good
he's not.
centre-back,
He's
he's
not
up
far
there.
wrong.
He's a very, very good centre
Yeah,
back.
Look
no,
at
I've
centre backs
seen him
this
play,
season.
yeah.
He's been solid.
It just pains me. Jose wanted to sign him for 5 million, but and they said they wanted 8, and Levy was like, "Nah, 3 million. 3 million was the difference."
But if Napoli do lose those players, though, we there is already like 3 teams that maybe not will show the same strength next year in Europe. So Liverpool out of that competition makes it easier to push on for the biggest achievement in Arsenal history football club, right? Like that will just end all the jokes against Arsenal Football Club ever. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, Arsenal's undoubtedly third biggest club in England, so I don't really care what any.
But you
One has
know
to
you would
really
love
say.
that UCL.
Of course,
bro.
I'd love
That
it.
is-
Oh
that's
yeah, that will solidify us as third because there's always these discussions about you ain't won a
Chelsea and
European
stuff like
trophy.
yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, for me, it doesn't really make a difference. But yeah, in regard to the top 4 race, I think
So where's Spurs in this? Because that's the one we haven't spoke about. That's the last one we haven't spoke about, right?
I don't know. I just think the quality at the
Yeah.
minute you're looking at R11. I don't know. We got defenders who can't defend.
you're just tired.
I've had those seasons.
Yeah, Spurs have just drained you out, bro.
Yeah,
and
that's
I love
exactly
to.
what it is.
I just love to see it.
It's every week. You don't know what you're getting, right? It's just like we
Exactly
could get
that.
a really good performance where we enjoy it and we
Yeah.
think the tide's there, and then you disappoint you the next week, innit?
No,
Exactly that.
Spurs deserve everything that's happened.
Like, I look
to
at
them.
Southampton away in the weekend, like bottom of the league, and I don't even see us winning that game. I genuinely, I don't see us going to St Mary's and
No.
and
Oh,
winning that game.
at St Mary's, yeah, no. Your home form's really good though, but your away form's
Yeah, away from the real quick poor.
Yeah, at home, I think Tottenham.
Do you know
are
what
quite
you look
decent.
out for?
The thing is
that
with-
Sulemana guy, that's the one. Like, he's
Yeah, he caused
rapid.
problems.
He's rapid, bro. Like
The thing is with top
seeing
4
him
for
crazy.
us is, I don't know, it's top 4, it's good, it gives us extra money, but is it a competition that realistically we can go ahead and win? Absolutely not. Whereas we drop down into the Europa League, not saying that, but there's more of a chance of us being one of the favourites than in the Champions League. Like we could, if we make it into the Champions League, I expect us to get out of the groups, but then anything after that therefore is a bonus. It depends on the draw. It's more of a luck thing. Whereas if you go in Europa League, you can actually look to it and try and make a dent to it, like for a manager.
Like making it to the last 16 and top 4 for Tottenham's a good season, anyways.
But when we say this about them being in other tournaments, but it's not like they take other tournaments seriously. It's like kind of how Klopp's took other
Exactly
clubs
that.
seriously.
That's
They
why
don't
it depends
take
on
them,
the
like, 'cause
it depends
you
on the
rotate
next
Kane
manager.
And then you end up having to bring him on to chase a game when you got knocked out to.
I somewhat
Sheffield
agree with
Sheffield
that.
United,
I
yeah, exactly.
somewhat agree with that, but you look at the players on the pitch. You have
They
human
should be
sons
good enough
that-
to win
that
the
it should have
game.
been good enough
Yeah,
to win
they
that
should
That's
game.
why.
But
That's
look
the
at
thing.
look at
That's
this what Ten Hag did, though.
that's
He played his
exactly
best
why.
side all the
That's
time.
exactly why
For a trophy.
I'm like half with like Conte, as in I don't think it's all his fault because
Your backup squad should do that, you know what I mean?
like some of the squad players who are still there, like Dyer wouldn't start for Poch however many years ago, yet he started for Jose and started for Conte. Sanchez was a bench warmer to the back end of Poch's time, yet he's still here playing a fair amount of games each season. Like there's players who have not been good enough, yet we're still using them. We just haven't moved on from them, haven't refreshed the squad or whatever. So it's a lot of the players are to blame.
The only
there.
disservice I'll give them Conte in this case is what we've seen the difference from Ten Hag. He will play Casemiro in a game against Reading. Like, do you know? It sounds kind of nuts. You know what I mean? He scored a banger against Reading. I was like, he's got 2 in the next game, and it's like Ten Hag's like, I don't really care. I want a trophy. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I hear it though. That's
I
true.
want to make sure I secure these wins regardless.
yeah.
Like, of course, it does. It does tend to bite you like later down the season. Like right now, we're seeing our the way we're playing football is a lot more lethargic. It does hurt the legs of the players long term in it, but. Trophy for Spurs, come on, that needs to be at the forefront. Like,
You haven't won a trophy since what, 08?
So it needs to be at the forefront right
Crazy,
now. Just
bro.
for also mentality of the squad. I think it does help squad mentality for them to be around wins, like have something under their belt as well.
Yeah,
show
yeah,
it just
mentality, yeah.
It's just that
important
hoodoo
thing.
off
Like,
the
look
back
at Arteta,
as well.
same thing. FA Cup made sure, okay, cool. I got something to leave here with. I've got something to put down
On
for
your
these players, so they
CV
know
as
for
well
CV.
and all
But
of
Conte
that.
don't need that on the CV.
Yeah, he
but
doesn't
it's just
need
for
that,
the
yeah.
player CV,
more
their
for the
marker.
club,
Yeah,
like-
it's for the club and the marker.
Although
right?
that's massive for like not massive for Conte, but I reckon a lot of clubs are
Oh,
going
no,
to say
a trophy at Spurs is massive for
is
whatever manager
That's
that
what
can
I'm
do
saying.
it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, oh yeah, he won a trophy at Spurs. Like that's.
Do you get it? Like,
that's-
look at the
Bro,
managers
the
that's
last
failed
manager
under
was
that.
what Condre
Oh,
Barros.
Juan
Yeah,
Ramos.
exactly.
That's
You
fucked,
know
bro.
what nationality was he? Spanish.
Spanish,
Luis Enrique,
innit?
get him in.
Enrique, I think he will go. His stock's kind of falling a bit as well.
Yeah,
as a
I was saying
manager.
this as well. Yeah, the other day, like we talk about Enrique, right, as being like one of these top coaches, but I think we've only seen it at the top, like the highest level for that Barcelona side. If we're seeing the Spain
That's
side,
what I mean. I think it could be a risk worth taking. Genuinely, I think it
100%.
could be a
It could
risk worth taking.
but
But
then
would
if
they
it
back
doesn't
him?
work,
That's the problem.
and if it doesn't work, does it not just fall further down the pecking order now? Because
Exactly.
Mourinho went to a Roma after
That's
Spurs.
the
you know
thing,
what I mean?
if
It's
it's
like
a-
further down
know,
the pecking
innit,
order.
innit.
But then I don't know where he goes just above Spurs in the pecking order sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that PSG job will be open again, and I think that's above Spurs in the job in
Yeah.
Europe.
Oh yeah,
that's a job
but
that's open.
Yeah, that is a above
Maybe even the
Spurs,
Juve
but-
job might be open
Yeah.
as well. End of the season, I think that job might be another one which is a bit
Yeah,
above.
innit.
They're the only two where I think, yeah, they're the only options there,
Fairs.
really and truly. But okay, last point on Spurs was about the manager situation. Now Conte is unlikely to stay.
Does top
Where-
four
who-
affect that? Like
top four
say we get fifth.
No, I think
do you
Conte wants
think?
to leave already. I think
No,
he's
no,
made-
no,
No,
no, no,
he's
no. As in
leaving
Conte's gone.
Oh,
Like,
wait, who
as in
comes
who we can attract, sort of thing. Like, do you think the difference between fourth and fifth would be
Changes the
the difference
caliber of
in
manager.
Enrique? Because I think he's the highest
Tier of
bracket,
manager you could get.
manager
Yeah,
we could
yeah, I
get
agree
probably who's available.
Yeah, I think that does change it. I can't.
You think if we get Europa, you don't come?
No, I don't see. I think
No,
that's,
but the Premier League's a super league in
Exactly
itself.
it is
that,
the
like,
Super League in itself.
Lopetegui was
Yeah,
what,
exactly.
Europa League
He will
thingy,
also be
where he
aware-
went bottom of the league.
Yeah,
Wolves.
bottom of the league.
He will be
at
also
that
aware
time.
that the funds come with UCL, and Spurs do need injection of cash into the squad. So maybe that will also.
But
play a
if you're a
part.
good enough coach, I think you can also scout low and see the potential. in
Managers
players.
are arrogant as well. They always think they're the best. So.
yeah, they think they can do it no matter where they pick them up
Yeah,
from. To be fair.
in it.
But to be fair, next manager, I don't know. There's
Yeah.
Who would be your top three?
my top three. I think would be if he was open, Luis Enrique, Pochettino, as a lot of the things he said towards the back end of his time have all come to fruition since, and maybe someone like De Zerbi.
I think
like,
go for. I think Eddie Howe would have been a good shout. Do you know why I say Eddie Howe? People say, get onto Newcastle because of the brand of football Newcastle play, but he can only do that with the quality of players that he's got at hand. But
No, I'm not even buoying Howe. I actually rate Howe quite a bit. Yeah.
Howe's not leaving in it, but I'm saying he's a Tottenham type manager in it. That's
I
what
see.
I'm saying.
It's a good fit. Like for
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'd like not necessarily style of footballs, but like what you just picture the levels of each other.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly,
The
levels
levels
of
kind of
each
equate
other,
in
yeah.
it. Yeah.
But if I'm being real,
I
in
think
it,
Spurs needs to be done with these winners though. These serial winners like Enrique.
Yeah,
I think that
that's
needs to be
it,
done
bro.
See, I
with
don't
that
think
sort of
Enrique's
thing, man.
is that serial winner
he
type
is
of guy.
though, innit?
No,
Like,
he had that brand. He had
was-
that image before.
He was
basically.
part
Okay,
of
fair enough, fair
Barcelona's. I mean, one of the best front threes in history.
Yeah,
bro.
do you get it? He's-
like he made that happen.
I wouldn't
with
call
the brand
Enrique a
of football.
serial winner like Jose and Conte.
He's not a
though.
serial winner, but it's
he's
how
like-
he won.
He's a high profile manager. That's
Yeah.
what maybe that's what I was.
What do you mean? That's how he won. He won playing.
No, but
fantastic
how he
football,
won?
rather
Yeah, he
than-
won.
Yeah,
he
but
won,
how he won is that he made one of the best front threes in history play. Like how
Also
they
one of the most
did.
expensive in the end, didn't it?
I know, but it's how they
No, I know
play
what
as
you mean.
well.
They
It's
did
not
it.
about
I
think
expenses, innit, as
rather
well.
rather
think
than
it's a
coming
high
away
profile
from
rather than-
great quality
yeah.
managers, I think it's coming away from win at all cost managers, winning.
Yeah.
Because as everyone can see, we need to rebuild. Like Jose should have been our last try at getting a win now manager. Fair enough. I understood that. Like when we sacked Poch and Jose was hired the next day, I understood. Right, we do have a team here that's obviously gone deep in competitions and
So
not
you
had
just want the
enough.
final piece.
So fair enough. I understood why
Yeah, yeah,
why
yeah,
the ball
yeah,
tried
makes
that.
sense, yeah.
But now it's clear to see we need a rebuild, and I don't think you're going to get a rebuild with a Conte where there's going to be ups and downs. Yet, like you lot have said, when there's downs with a manager who doesn't play progressive football, it's just it comes down so much quicker because the fans are just fed up of watching it, sort of thing. Whereas
Yeah.
with Enrique, it's like although you say he's a
mix between the two.
top manager, but it's a manager who wants the
yeah,
possession-based football, has a style of play. He wants the ball. He wants to be in possession. Like it's a progressive type of football that could work. I'm not saying like he'd definitely be the one or anything, but
it's an interesting take. Yeah, if we would take it, my perspective for them would probably be De Zerbi. I think he fits nice with like I think I like mentality as well. I like it, like the way he conducts his interviews, type of manager he is, and like. Following Brighton, like he's gone to a team where he knows that like there's a few pieces here and he got the best out of them.
I think his man management is perfect. Yeah. So look at how he handled the Caicedo situation
and Trossard. He knew when to let those sort of.
I think he's good man management for the high level, innit? And he found out how to like overcome the one problem that Graham Potter had, which is turning XG to goals. Yeah, exactly
that.
And especially with the promotion in youth as well. You think about it, you can bring some of those Brighton players over if you take the manager there because they're clearly playing for him.
Harry Kane replacement.
Yeah, Evan Ferguson, bring him over with you. You never like Matoma maybe. You know, Son replacement.
Son swap deal.
You never know. I don't think you have the funds for Matoma in it, but then again, though, who else are gonna like poach?
At the end of the day, Brighton are only gonna ask
when Leao
for so
and
much.
Thing is still on the market. Leao and Cravo on the market. I think they're more established in the game than Matoma is. Yeah,
they are.
So they will probably be the forefront for any big club.
But Matoma plays with no fear.
So you never know.
I think he'll be.
And stars bring them with you. You know what I mean? Even Dunk, bro. Like even Tay Lewis Dunk with the Spurs, bro. Exactly, defender can defend and he can decently ball. Yeah, bro, bring it. It's Estepinian. I like Estepinian as well.
You're stretching it now. You're stretching it.
No, he's all right.
No, he's not medium.
He's clumsy. He's clumsy.
No, he's not that bad. He's not bad.
I don't think you'll get guys like Caicedo because they know the value of him. You won't get someone like that out of there, innit?
But yeah, to round things off, who do you think's making top 4?
Yeah, let's go with like 4 down, innit? I have a weird feeling that Newcastle might thug it out, you know? They just might thug it out to the end of the season.
They could do.
They're the only ones that seem that consistently can get clean sheets.
You think after tomorrow, it should be Liverpool, us, and Newcastle all have one game a week because everyone else we're all out of cups.
Yeah,
they if Real Madrid don't mess about, Liverpool will be out. And Brighton, we didn't talk on Brighton.
Yeah, Brighton's another one.
They are in there when you're on the table when you look at the table, but their fixtures are incredibly difficult.
Yeah,
so I don't think they'll be there. But for me,
I think Spurs in it. Spurs just about. Conte's not best manager out of the 3, but he's...
The one thing with Liverpool, though, they do have big games, and I think big games where they have the most chance of getting points from at the moment.
Big games
that's the problem, yeah. They still have Chelsea, Arsenal, City to still go, and Spurs. So that could be quite a few points. Like, that's the only time they turn up. So that could be where they get points, whereas the others won't get points.
Look how they rolled over Newcastle at St James's as well the other day.
United, like you never know. That could be where they go. Newcastle's opposite.
I think Liverpool for me.
I think Tottenham in it.
As much as I hope.
Okay, cool. So you've got someone different in it. Give us your shout for who you think will get 4th place in the end.